those of you who came in who were remembering and being with in spirit the people who are suffering through the loss of life. And as I shared with students, since yesterday was the Feast of All Saints, we called in Mother Saint Teresa to help us forgive the killer, because it's way beyond us to do that. And if anybody can feel just terrible remorse, would you please stand and say, I forgive him? Not yet. And that's what we said. Okay, Mother St. Teresa, help us. Speaking of getting the word out, how hard is it to get the word out, Nancy Colvin, who speaks for Columbus Recreation in Parks in terms of marketing? We all know we have something exciting. How do we get the word out? Once upon a time, they had megaphones in the street. They sold newspapers in New York calling out. And it's exhausting, is it not? So Nancy Colvin feels that. And so does Todd, the very amazing artist who had his work at the faculty club and now at the MAC, to get the word out. All of you are here to do the same, are you not? You want to sell your work. Now you say, well, don't I just do it for the sake of doing it? Isn't that a beautiful experience? Isn't that what Michelangelo did? Are you kidding? He had all those sponsors backing him, all those wealthy families. He never had to really worry about it. He did it, and he was compensated. But those of you who want to live by your art, those of you who want to celebrate your art by getting it out into the community, do you feel a struggle in that? Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And that is the reason why we are here today, to find out how to get that word out. And Nancy, tell us how it is that you've been about marketing.
I'm
nice and loud there because we don't have a microphone here.
Hi, my name's Nancy Colvin. I'm with Columbus Recreation and Parks. I'm a communications and marketing specialist, but prior to coming to CRPD, I was in public relations, first at the Symphony and then at the Art Museum, and most recently with a public relations firm that specializes in arts museums, representing places like the Toledo Museum of Art, Princeton University Art Museum, Cincinnati Art Museum. So I've got a pretty in-depth background in arts marketing and communications.
And what do you find challenging about it?
I think the biggest challenge that we're facing now is the same thing that everyone is kind of going through. The entire landscape of public relations and media relations has changed over the past 10, 15 years. If you pick up your local paper, you'll see the cuts that have happened to arts coverage. You no longer have a dedicated arts section. It's now life and arts and travel all wrapped together on Sunday. When you start kind of thumbing through the paper, you'll see that most of those stories are wire stories. They're not even local. So getting through to someone on the other end is a challenge. And part of that is timing, part of that is building relationships. But that combined with just the sheer volume of voices that are out there between the internet and social media and everything else, there's this cacophony that you have to break through. And it's no longer, not everyone in town reads the one newspaper. You can't go and put an ad in the Dispatch and be pretty certain that everyone has seen it, because how many people are actually subscribing these days and what channels are they getting their information from? So the social media has been a great thing for allowing us to become our own storytellers and advocates, but it's also presents its own challenges as far as that kind of wideband media that used to be out there. So those are some of the things that we've been kind of bumping up against over the last few years.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is the challenge of writing. Writing articles about, for example, the site of music. That was a tremendously challenging exhibit with our artists, our poets. Wow, wasn't that extraordinary? But are you going to be able to easily find someone in a local paper to write it all up and comprehend it?
There's been some, and if you read the bylines in the paper, you know that there's been cuts to the number of reporters that they have, and a lot of freelancers that are going there. We don't necessarily have a dedicated arts critic anymore. You know, it used to be we had Barbara Zook writing about all the symphony performances, and she was educated and knew what she was looking for. You had Jacqueline Hall and Nancy Gilson and some others covering the visual arts. Marshall Hood writing about fashion. And those have kind of drifted away. There's a handful of writers who are covering features that may not have the kind of in-depth knowledge base that they used to have, that you used to be accustomed to. So the stories that you do see tend to be a lot less about art criticism and more just, I went to this show, there were 16 pieces. They were a combination of this, this, and this by so-and-so. And you know, it's not what we were accustomed to for so many years.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a really good analysis. Todd, the artist, tell us the challenge for you to get out there, the work at the faculty club. You were marvelous in getting that word out.
Well, it takes, again, it's almost a full-time job as an artist to create art and to also market it, because, again, you can have the most wonderful work in the world, but if nobody knows about it, if your intention is to show it and sell it, then you got to get it out there. So, you know, we just talked about social media. I think that's probably been my biggest way to get things out there and to create free advertising. We're going to touch on that in the presentation here in just a few, but it is one of the biggest and easiest ways to get your work and word out to thousands of people at a keystroke. So we'll talk about how to do that here in a second.
All right.
All right.
Good.
There you go.
Take it
All
away.
right.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
I can
So-
tell from the eager look in people's faces there.
The presentation that we have here wraps up about over 30 years of experiences that I've had in the arts and doing festivals, fairs, and galleries, and all the things, fortunately, that I've been involved in and had a career in the arts for this long. I didn't have to work other jobs and do other things, but I've been in the arts for that period of time, which is a fortunate thing, and live to tell about it. The annual studio sale. How many of you in this room right now are doing the annual studio sale next weekend? Good, okay. So this is really geared, a lot of this information is geared toward artists that are going to be presenting their work next week. Yes?
How was that information spread out to those of us that have taken classes here? Because the information did not come through, I know, in our group. I was not aware of it,
No,
and
not
it was
either.
already a done thing.
Okay, so in, let's see, this comes out, I believe in, Holly, when did we start advertising this? Around August? Somewhere around August session.
And we want to say, Holly, stand up.
Yep.
Because Holly is working in marketing and getting the word out here at the Cultural Arts Center.
In-house, yes, she is our in-house. Nancy is at the main office downtown, so it's two separate things. So back to your question, about August is when we start advertising this. It goes out in our weekly e-blasts that we send out. Now, I want to clarify something about the e-blast. In order for you to be on the e-blast mailing list, you have to opt into that. Just a lot of folks think because I've signed up for a class, I'm automatically on that email list. That's not the case. Unfortunately, we're not able to utilize the emails that have to do with classes. You have to opt into that. We have at the front desk, we have a sign-in where you can do that, and you can get yourself on the mailing list. So there's a separation there. I understand that, and I think there's a misunderstanding that just because you sign up for classes, people think, well, I don't get the information.
Even our instructor didn't, there wasn't. the information didn't filter down at the teaching level.
Sure.
So that.
And all of the instructors receive all of that information too to disseminate, and we try to put posters up, and we try to put, depending on where your studio is too, we have in the elevator, we always have information posted in the kiosk there. We just put a brand new one down going to the lower levels downstairs because we realized that about half of our students are going downstairs, and half of them don't even know that there's an upstairs that exists in this building because they're just going downstairs. So yes, so working through those things, and I apologize for not getting that, but
if they watched online, they would see that Cho brings us upstairs. Cho, we thank you for recording Conversations and Coffee every week and putting it online. It's a wonderful presentation of for those who can't make Conversations and Coffee in a given Thursday, or have never even known about it, or have ever been upstairs.
And the website also is a good place for information for all kinds of stuff. Whether it be a closing for a weather event, holidays. A lot of times we'll put information about parking if we know there's a big event over here, and suddenly we realize that, oh my gosh, there's not going to be parking on Saturday. We'll put that on there. So it's kept up to date quite readily. So always check culturalartscenteronline.org, and you can get all the current information right there. Okay.
And you can also, Holly does a great job of pushing all those messages out on social media. CAC has Twitter, they have a Facebook page, and they have an Instagram account, and Holly keeps updates going out daily about things that are going on. So it's a really great way to kind of keep up with what's going on here.
All right, so we're going to dive right into this because this is about a solid hour. We're going to really try to get through this as best we can. That's great. Yeah, thanks. So this is one of the big questions we're going to address. So you want to sell your art, but how do buyers know about you? You know, that's the biggest thing. It's great to create art and show your friends. If that's your reason for doing it, that's great. But if you really want to sell, let's get down to that. The bigger question is, do you have the goods? And what does that mean? So I brought this artist up. This is Christian Farr. He's a friend of mine over at Denison University in Granville. And he creates these wonderful images out of crayons. And the crayons, the tips of the crayons are what actually produce the images. And these are all computer generated. It's extremely scientific the way he does this. And he makes the crayons himself. So he creates all those colors and puts them side by side in order to create these sort of portraits, which is a very common kind of subject matter. But the manner in which he's doing this is very unique. So I say to you, think about what you are doing with your art and what is unique about it. What makes it stand out from the crowd? And that's what people are looking at. So don't make art to sell then, but make the art that you love and then sell it. That's two different things, all right? You can make, I know what I could make to make $1 bazillion, and I know what I could make. It wouldn't be true to who I am, but I know that I could make all these little things that people would love, but I'd rather make the art that I love and then sell it. So two different concepts there. So the number one thing after you make great work, what is it? What do you do? What's next? You got this great painting, you have this great piece of ceramic. What do you do next? What is it?
Promote it.
Before you promote it, what do you have to do?
Frame it.
What is it? Frame it?
Frame it.
Before you do that. Somebody said it, I heard it. Photograph it. Yes, photograph it. Yes. You've got to get great photographs. So here's a couple tips, and I know Nancy can help out on this as well. But great photographs. And now, here's what I will say. If you do not have a camera, if you do only have a cell phone, and you want to take great photographs, if you can't do it, find somebody else who can. And trade them dinner, trade them a piece of art. Fortunately, I've been able to trade my art for my wife's haircuts for the last 3 or 4 years, which has been fantastic because it's saved us millions. But to get a great photograph, a couple just very small things, and you might want to add to this, Nancy. The higher the resolution, the better. So on your cameras, get the highest resolution setting that you can. 300 DPI is the common kind of standard for kind of minimal resolution. And then in saving it, when you're saving this, if you're doing editing on your computer, the size is 1920 on the long side, and that's pixels. And then when you save that file, you want to save it as at least 1 meg, okay, in resolution, in file size.
Hey Todd,
for printing.
I have one question.
Yes.
Yesterday I had a chance to help a
Yes.
painter to shoot her painting to photograph. And then she insisted that I have to use 1920px, and I had no idea where that number came from, and it took a long time to discuss with her until I caught you
Yes.
on the phone, and tell me where that 1920 comes from.
So 1920, if you download the image from your camera onto your computer to do any kind of editing, when you save that image, it will ask you, it's the size, correct?
It's I think it gives you the option of inches or pixels. And so when you're doing the images, I always say at least 4x6, 300 DPI. If you can do because you can have an image that is 8x10 but only 72 DPI, and then when you shrink it down. So it's better to, these are just kind of guidelines. The 1920 is a good guideline to go with because you're going to get an image that can be print quality. That's the big thing.
And the thing is here in saving these on your computer then, and doing the editing, you can check the properties. There's a properties tab and it'll tell you right there what that size is. And you want at least whatever the long side of the image is to be 1920 when you save that.
So it sounds like if I use 5 mega file, then I'm safe.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, because it could be a really large piece, but at a low resolution, and so it's the DPI is a really important thing.
That's the bigger, the bigger thing to go for.
But even if you gave me a 1x1 that's 300 DPI, if I try and blow that up, it's not going to be helpful for me.
So, and we say all this to, if you are sending out images to, with a press release to an agency, a news agency, you want to, the less they have to do in order to publicize you, the better. So if you can write your press release, again, if you cannot do it, get a high school student to do it. If you cannot do this DPI stuff, get a 9-year-old to do it like I do. I mean, this is the stuff that you either figure out how to do it or ask somebody else to do it, trade them, pay them, whatever you can do to get it. There are free photo editing apps all over the place. And I used to use a really good one. It was called PicMonkey. And now suddenly they've gone to more of a subscription type thing. And I didn't want to deal with all that, so I kind of abandoned them. But just know that you can download applications where you can edit your photos right on your computer. Then I want everybody to be aware that in the basement, if you only come up to painting, there is a basement. And it is down by ceramics, and there is a photo area set up down there where you are free to use that area to photograph 2-dimensional work and 3-dimensional work in a tented area with lights. Everything is set up right there for you. There's a quick reference guide right there as well that tells you how to do those photographs. And if you have any questions, and you see me around, grab me, grab Holly at any time, and we'll try to help you out to do that, because we want you to get good images of your fabulous work. So the next step is website. Okay, so in order to have presence and again perceived importance, a website is good. I use Wix.com. It's free. It's easy. If I can do this, you can certainly do this. It's easy to do. You can go on there and play around, upload stuff. Before you even launch it, you can build your website and just kind of goof around with it and see what works for you. There's a million templates. It's super easy. You don't have to put in any secret codes. You don't have to put any, you're just basically taking a photograph that you have and dropping it in to this template. It's a fantastic way to do it. Business cards, that's another thing. You always want to be able to make sure that you have business cards available. When you start talking about your work, and somebody says, oh, you know, I want to see it. How can I get to your work? Well, you can get to my website because my information is on my business card. And I always make sure and have them, because half the time, and this is professional people that I deal with too, in all shapes and sizes, they're like, oh man, I'm out of business cards. That's just like, we're scratching on paper. At home, I have like 1,500 business cards. Do I have one on me? I do not. I don't have one on me right now. So make sure you have your business cards, and those can be, you can get those at Vistaprint. And again, you can build that very, very simply. It's a template online. You have to go through a lot of kind of steps through their website. They'll want you to buy mouse pads and coffee mugs and pencils, but you can finally sift through all that stuff, and you can get some good business cards in a very short amount of time for really, really inexpensively. It's a great way to do it. So at the sale, for those of you that are doing that, if you cannot turn it around by next week and get the business cards made, there's also you can get a thing at Staples it's perforated business cards, and just print those out. Okay. Those are just something to give people that are purchasing your work. If they want to try to find you again, they have that information right there in front of them. So, website builders. This is, I looked up, Googled top website builders, and here they are, the top 10. These are super either free or super inexpensive, maybe $4 or $5 to get on here and do these website building. They're really easy, and all this stuff anymore is just for anybody. You don't have to have much adeptness in any of this really to do it now. So if you want this presentation, I can send it to you after we're done here. That has all this information on it. All right, social media. So who can name the icon in the top left corner there? What is that? What platform? Twitter. Next one. Facebook. Instagram. Good. So we can recognize these. These don't even have words on them, right? But these are just kind of things that are in our everyday life. We see them all over the place, and we can easily identify these. Now, but what does that mean? Okay, so how many of you have Twitter? Couple. How many have Facebook? Good. Pinterest? A couple more. And Instagram. Probably the best one in my opinion. All right. Okay, so Nancy.
So, yes, there's all kinds of social media platforms out there. The one thing that I always say is to pick one or two and do it really well instead of doing all of them kind of haphazardly. You're much better. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll move out of the way. You're much better off to decide which platforms you interact with best, where your audience is. I agree with Todd, Instagram is fantastic for artists. It's a visual medium, but I would even argue that on Facebook and Twitter, if you're putting out information without an image, you're just going to get people are just going to keep scrolling by. They found that if you use video snippets, you have a 30% higher click-through rate. It's more likely that people are actually going to click on the image and visit it. So before you even jump on social, decide what those channels are that you're going to use, and really commit to learning a little bit more about them. And as Todd said, if you've got a 9-year-old on hand, they're great. I have a 13 and a 17-year-old at home. They are my tech support. They know more than I ever will. So the first thing I say, images. Back to Todd's thing about great images are so important. Keep your posts light on text if you can, and use engaging images. If you're using Instagram, you don't have, so on Instagram you can use hashtags that allow people to filter through. You don't have to use the hashtags in your initial post now. You can put your image up and then immediately comment underneath with your hashtags. They're now indexing the comments as well, and it doesn't clutter up your original post. When you're shooting videos or pictures, please hold your camera horizontally. Because if you hold your camera vertically, even though as you're looking through your social media stream, it's all vertically oriented, if you shoot video this way and then post it to Facebook, it gets these weird bars on the side. It doesn't look great. So keep in mind when you're shooting what the visual plane's still going to be, but do it horizontally so that you're using up the full screen. If you're gonna, so when you're sharing pictures, don't just share the stuff of the finished product. People love behind the scenes. Everyone wants to know how you did that. And getting those pictures of in-progress work, or if you can shoot a quick little video, 60 seconds or less, and post it up there. Again, video has a much higher click-through rate. People will love it. It's more engaging, and most of the platforms support it now, so you can easily post it to Facebook, you can post it on Instagram, you can shoot it with your phone, and if you have if you're having difficulty with that, just again grab a 9-year-old. They can do it.
So I will say too, for those of you that are involved with the sale, Holly is looking for those behind the scenes kind of shots and video. So if you're in a studio between now and next week, including, let Holly know when she can come and photograph you working in the studio downstairs or upstairs, wherever you're at, and then we're going to post that to our page, where then people can kind of share that from there and get, again, the word out about this sale. Because our main goal is to get people here to buy your work. All right, and it's great if we're all set up downstairs and we're all looking great, but if nobody's walking through the door, then that's our problem, all right? So we have to make sure we do that, and we're going to work hard to make sure we get people here.
And I would say, you know, a lot of this work has to start long before the sale, because
Yes.
you have to build a community on social media, and that, you know, you have to work at that. So it's engaging with people. It's, if you're on Instagram, finding other folks out there that you want to follow, liking their photos, engaging with them, following certain hashtags, and you don't just get 30,000 followers overnight. So you have to build that up.
The other thing I'll say too about the starting out on a platform is to separate your personal
Yes.
page from
Yep.
your art page, okay? I have my Todd Camp art pages, and I have my personal pages, and keep those very separate because somebody that's buying art may not care for political comments or something that way, and you want to just keep that separate. So if you have to create a whole new page, go ahead and do that. That's just for your art only.
I agree, yeah. All right,
Right.
so next, yep. So we want you to tell your friends and followers, if you're on social media, that you're going to be participating on the sale. Holly created a Facebook and an Instagram post that have all the sale information. Go to the CAC site and share those. You can repost from Instagram. There are apps out there that will allow you to do that. It's a little more challenging, but I'm sure if you asked for the graphic and the details, Holly would be happy to email those to you. Just, it's another way to help get that information out. You have networks. You have people that are interested in your art, that support you. So share that information. And when you do, please make sure that you're sharing images of pieces that you'll have available for sale. So don't share a dozen photos of something you sold last Christmas, and then people come here and you're doing something completely different and they're a little bit disappointed to find that you're no longer doing that. You want to make sure that you're sharing stuff that they're actually going to be able to see and they're going to be able to purchase.
And to that, I'll say 9 times out of 10, anything that's either on a postcard, image-wise, or that you're sharing, people are going to come looking for that piece specifically because they've seen it time and time again, they've fallen in love with it, they're going to come looking for that particular piece,
Yeah.
whether it be a gallery or sale or otherwise.
And then, so, I don't know, is there another slide or are we, nope, okay, go back. So CAC, hashtag CAC creates. If you're posting to Instagram or posting to Twitter, it's not such a big deal on Facebook. You can use it. Some people hate to see hashtags on Facebook, but it's a thing. If you use that hashtag CAC creates, that's the hashtag we'd love to start using for any of the artists that are creating artwork here. Trying to kind of push out the idea that there's a lot more that happens here than just gallery shows and you know, the idea that this is a creative space and that we have artists working here. But this is a way people can go in and filter for that hashtag, and Holly might be able to see your work, see something you posted and share it, or someone else will see it and become interested in it and they can start following you that way. If they are seeing that hashtag on other artists' feed, they're going to then go, oh, I wonder what else is there, and start filtering through, and it helps to build a community. It's incredibly important. So, and I think that's on the next slide.
One thing I'll say too, Nancy and I talked about this yesterday, was doing a workshop to just actually start a platform. And just do it from start to finish. So stay tuned for that. We're going to do that. For those of you that are just, this is like way, I can tell, some people are just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But we're going to do it from start to finish so that you can have a page go.
And once you get in there, you're going to be amazed at how easy it really is.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of barrier of starting the account. So we're happy to walk you through.
Can I just say that I am constantly looking for the CAC Creates hashtag. So if you are on a platform like Instagram or Twitter and you are posting and using the CAC Creates, I'm looking for it, consciously.
Does everybody hear that over there? No, come on, Holly, you want to stand up and say this? This is very important.
Okay.
From the diaphragm.
So what I was saying is that I'm consciously looking online for the CAC Creates hashtag that she had just mentioned. So if you're on social media and you want to share what you're working on, use that hashtag. I'm looking for it. So if I see you using it, I can repost it and share it. So I'm definitely looking for it. So feel free to use it.
And when she shares it from the CAC platform, that's getting you in front of a whole nother audience that then that's how you build more followers and you grow your following.
Could you tell us how to find that? Be a little bit more explicit if you could. Where is it?
And so if you are in Instagram, actually, if you want to come up afterwards, I can show you. I think this is something that would be a little more nuts and bolts in a workshop, but
Okay.
I'm happy to walk you through it once we're all done. I'm more than happy to do that.
And I'll say for all of us of age, this is no longer the pound sign. This is hashtag. All right.
That was hard. And we kind of went over this. So this is
There is a name for
keywords.
that, but I don't know what it is.
So the hashtags identify keywords and make your post searchable by other users. So it brings together conversations in a single string. And like I said, I'm happy to give you an example of that. And I may even pull one up here in a second. So, all right, social media tips. Please tag CAC in your posts. And I have a piece of paper that has this information on it, so you can have that. If you're on Facebook, at Columbus Cultural Arts Center, Instagram, Twitter. If you're posting on Instagram or Twitter, again, use CAC Creates. Tag CAC, and then use that hashtag so that we can draw in, so that we can build this greater community and help really grow the social media presence. And then I always love to use examples, and so I'm going to plug this in. And some of these are folks that you know and that work here, do work here. So, all right. In theory. Okay. So this is my Instagram page. This is an artist named Gabriel Dawes. He's like the unicorn of artists out there. But you'll see that on his page, he's got all these beautiful photographs of these fantastic installations. But you'll also see he's built up a following of almost 33,000 people. He posts a lot of in-progress stuff. He does these things. This is probably not where most of us are going to end up, but it's just an example of the kind of reach that you can develop. I also wanted to share some of our own local folks. So I think a lot of you know Beth Decker. She has a page called Shameless Play, and she does an amazing job. And you're going to recognize the background on a lot of this. But she's showing her pieces. She's got beautiful photography. Yep.
That teapot's right over here.
So beautiful photography. She's got a couple of down here that are in process pieces, and she's promoting her work. There's a little video, just kind of fun. But to Todd's point, this is specific to her artwork. This is not something. This is not her personal.
And Nancy, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I just want to put one thing out, and this is really helpful. So, Beth Decker is really great, and I follow her all the time. And this is what I see on my end. If you can pull her back up.
Yep.
And click on this one. So this is what we're talking about. She's tagging Columbus Cultural Arts Center
Yep.
in all of her posts. So when I
Well, actually, I think she's checking in there,
yes,
isn't she?
she's just tagging us as a location.
Yep. So
And
you,
so when I come to work and I go upstairs and I open it up, I see that she's here, she's posting, tagging us at, that she's here at the Columbus Cultural Arts Center. You just click it as a location, it'll come up.
I'll show you.
Where,
So
yeah.
I go to the search page and I can type in, well, there's CAC, and that takes me there. Or I can say Columbus Cultural. I don't have my glasses on, so please, I'm typing in the dark and of glasses. Oh, I can't promise what might happen. So there I've typed it in the location, and you see all the photos from people who have posted a picture and said they were here. And that brings that into one feed. So then Holly sees that, and she can share that information.
All those artists, all those students have done that work. We didn't do that. They just posted it onto our page. Now we can send that out to other pages. See, so it's sort of this gigantic web is the reason that we want to have 32,000 people following us, because then that kind of shoots off into 32,000 different directions as well, and so on. So the more you get your work out there, or the more that you have images up here and on our page, then the more it's just going to continue to go out.
So I go in there, I see Columbus Cultural Arts Center, and then I say, oh, let me click on this picture, and now I've found someone else that's been here, and I can go to Eric's art page, and this is how I discover people online. But look at this, how fun is that video? You know, it's just a quick little snippet. That isn't just a promotion of his artwork, it's the little behind the scenes that make people feel like they're getting an insider's glimpse, and everybody loves that. So, you know, those are just a couple examples of some of the Instagram accounts that are out there that are doing a great job.
Is your work protected in any way on Instagram?
No, if you're posting that out there, you're sharing those images. I know that is a scary thing for a lot of folks. It's the idea of copyright doesn't exist on social media. Once you share it, you don't hold the copyright to that image. It can be shared and used again and again. That's, you know, that is our goal when you're trying to sell something. You're wanting to make sure that it's shared over and over again. But that goes back to Todd's point of keep your personal and your art separate. You can make an Instagram page that is personal and locked down, so only people you know can see it, only people you allow to see it. But if you're going to do, that's another thing, if you're going to create an Instagram post to promote your art, you're going to want to make sure that it's public and that all your posts are public.
So then if you had a photo on there, somebody liked it, they could take it and blow it up?
It's usually not a high enough resolution to be able to do that. That's the thing with what ends up going up online. It's not, I think people have that fear, but that's not what happens. What they found, art museums had this huge fear when everybody started posting images like, we're going to post images, people are going to be able to see all the work, they're never going to come in our doors. And what they found is the exact opposite. People see the pictures and they want to engage.
Inga, also you can investigate how to put a watermark on
That's
your,
true.
just put a watermark on, just Google that, you can put that right on your photo, and you can't see it really until it gets pretty big, and then there'll be a watermark on there that basically says it's yours. Okay? All right, $1 million tip. $1 million tip is artcollecting.com. Here is a clearinghouse of galleries, if you're interested in galleries. Go look at this page, and just what it does is it breaks all the art galleries down by state and then by city. So if you are interested in Indianapolis, and you can look in Indiana, go to Indianapolis, and then look at all the galleries that are in Indianapolis. This is a fantastic resource, a great way to just see what's being done in the art world, in the gallery world. And again, how do you compare, how do you stack up to all the work that's going on out there? All right, so festivals and fairs, because this is again geared a little bit toward what is going to be happening next weekend. The thing that you want to do is you got to do your homework. And you got to go to festivals. Fortunately, in Columbus, there's a festival every weekend, in the summer especially. So there's an arts festival. You can go and see what's going on. But see, who gets in? Who are the artists that get in? Is it the same, you know, is it the same people all the time? You know, what is it? The attendance, how many people are there? And the longevity. Is this the first year for this festival, or is this the 19th year? Big difference, all right? I would stay personally away from first year festivals, but longevity is important too, because it has a reputation then. Research shows, and you can do that at zapplications.com. So if you're interested in attending as an artist, festivals or fairs, go to Zapplications. You can, again, type in any warm city that you want to go to in the wintertime, which is what a lot of artists on kind of the Columbus Arts Festival circuit do. They travel around about 6 or 8 months a year and create work the other 4 months. And then they just travel and sell the work. Like I said, visit local artists, art festivals. Is anybody buying? You know, look around, see what people are carrying. Are they carrying the scarecrow on a stick, or are they carrying a $3,000 painting? 2 different festivals, right? So you got to kind of be aware of what's happening. And then, is it the right fit for your work? Do you picture yourself in this festival with your work? And then ask questions of exhibiting artists. Most times artists are pretty forthcoming with their information, some are not, but you know, kind of ask questions. Hey, how's the show going for you? And you can tell. I mean, if you see a bunch of empty picture hooks in there, that means they're selling like crazy. So the advantages of showing your work at festivals and fairs, you know, why do you want to go through this process? Let me tell you. I did the Columbus Arts Festival about 2 or 3 years ago, and at that point made the determination that festivals, that's just not for me. It's not for me, it's not for my work, it doesn't fit that particular mold, and that's okay. I'm glad I found it out. It was an expensive, wet and sweaty lesson, but that particular weekend, it rained about every 20 minutes, it was 120 degrees, and you know, there was somebody beside me that's been doing this for years from Florida, and he said, you know, who's going to come when it's pouring down rain and hot and buy a $3,000 painting? And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. You know what? You know, there's elephant ears to buy. There's, you know, that kind of stuff. So you know, you have to kind of, you got to weigh that out. So you get to tell your story. What is your story? Do you have a story? You should. If you don't have a story, make one up. You know, and talk about all your background and how you came to be where you're at right now. That's that people are really interested in that kind of stuff. I teach painting to one student on Wednesdays, have for the last 4 years, and she came from the academic background as a professor in writing, and now she's painting, making beautiful paintings. What a great story. You know, that's a great story, but what is your background and how does that relate to your work? You get to explain your techniques, because a lot of people are really interested. Well, how did you do that? How long did it take? I love this question. How long did it take you to make that? You know what I always say? 30 years. It took me 30 years to make that painting. So people want to know those things. You get to answer questions. It's a one-on-one shopping experience, which a lot of people don't get, you know, today. And a lot of people are looking for a very kind of interpersonal relationship with an artist. And then you get to see your work up close. You get to introduce your brand. What is your brand? Does everybody have a brand? What is a brand? So a brand is, what's McDonald's brand? We know that right away, right? We don't even have to see the words. Your brand is something that makes you recognizable. So what is it that makes you recognizable? Is it a color palette? Is it a logo? Is it your something that you do? Again, the crayons. That's kind of his brand. You know, that's his thing. That's what he does. So you have to think about, look up, just Google branding and see what comes up. It's a really interesting thing. And then you get to tap into information from other sellers, and you get immediate feedback from the buyers. Sometimes not so great, but that's a good thing most of the time. So to get to there, finishing your work, 2 and 3D, your paintings should be wired for hanging. Make sure they're dry, please. Okay, no wet paintings. You know, make sure that they're framed and signed. And you can see in this particular image that the artist has signed on the back side here. That's fine. I've taken of late to siding mine on the side instead of right on the front on the image. A lot of, you know, the rule was lower right-hand corner. But I side mine on the edge on the side instead, and it's still there, but it's not right on the image of the work. Have different sizes of work. So have different sizes, different price points, because again, somebody may be looking for something that's $30, not $300. All right, so have a wide variety. Make sure that there's no smudges. Keep fingerprints off of there. Windex, paper towels if you're doing things behind glass. Make sure that you have that to clean up. Sorry, this is jumbled up down here. A touch-up kit. You know what that is? Touch-up kit is a black Sharpie marker. So anytime there's a scratch on a frame, you can color it right in. Never know. Jewelry, make sure you have a polishing cloth, and how will it be displayed? Do you need lighting? And then the balance of extras. How do you display that jewelry? So make sure in jewelry that there are no sharp edges, they dangle freely. Be familiar with your stones, because people will ask, what is this stone? I don't know, it's something that was, you know, so be knowledgeable of all the things that you're using in your clasps are secure. Ceramics, make sure it has a clean foot. The foot is the bottom, so it's not jagged. It's going to scrape up somebody's credenza, and it's not wobbly. And then you can, for ceramics, you can add items, the value-added items I call them. For a vase, if you suddenly put a wooden spoon in it, it's usable. It's not just a vase, all right? It's something that somebody can imagine, oh, I can put more spoons in it, or I can put something in it, a honey dipper. And then in terms of canvases, talking about either painting the edges of the canvas here or leaving it plain like this. So that's a personal preference. There's no rule for that. I think it looks, with gallery wrapped canvases, it looks a little bit more finished when you have this. Now you can do it a solid color, or you can continue the painting around the side that way. So that's a way to do that. Framing, oh my goodness. What are we looking at here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 mats and a crazy frame and a really crazy image in the middle, right? What is this that we're looking at? Anybody?
Feather.
Yeah, it's like a feather maybe. But my point here is keep things very simply framed, simply matted, okay? Because the thing is, this person probably spent $300 on this mat and frame job, and somebody may love the image and take it right out of there and toss it, and put it in something else. So keep it simple. Let the buyer change it if they need to. And I put this. Dogs playing poker can look good in a simple frame too. All right, bodies of or groups of work together. When you group things together, especially ceramics, people say, "Oh my gosh, I got to have all of those. I don't want just the one. If I break them up, it's like children. They're splitting them apart. It's like I got to have them all." So you're giving them the idea that you got to buy all of these, and that works. So your booth. This is the fun part. All right. So booths are interesting animals. There's all different kinds. There's all different ways to do it. And this is one I particularly call keep out, because this person does not want you inside of there. They've got the sign up in front. They've got this table. They're blocking you out. They've got a couple things in the background there. Not very inviting. Whereas this one, you can kind of stroll in. They've got this nice little carpet down here. It feels like a home. It's just a little bit more inviting, okay? So think about all the things that go into your booth. This is like the chicken yard or something, I don't know. This is a lot of work all in one place, and then you're kind of seeing through to the back. I've seen a lot of wonderful husbands' carpentry work at shows where people just, they create these things for display, and it's a little crazy. So keep it very simple. Not sure what they're selling. Again, you should be able to kind of tell when you walk up, like, what are you selling, okay? I don't know, I'm not sure. At least pull the orange thing down to the ground in the front there. Okay, this one is starting to have a bit of a branding, okay? So there's kind of a feeling for this. So branding and feeling are kind of the same thing. You've got these old doors and trunks. So that kind of sets up this kind of aesthetic, or this brand for this particular artist. This one is blue light special, I call, because you got this blue tarp in the back here that's casting blue light all over all the artwork on the inside. They do have they have a sign up here, which is nice, and you can get free cookies on the way out down here too. So that's the one. I put this for jewelry because of you see the angle at which the jewelry is being kind of put forward. So it's up off the table, it's not flat right on the table, but it's elevated, okay? So we want to have things elevated, and so this one has a lot of things on the table to keep it simple. You don't have to put every bit of your inventory out. Save some things back. If somebody's interested in one thing, you can pull something out from under the table and say, oh, well, I have this one too. But you don't have to put everything out, so it's not like a garage sale, okay? So you just keep it simple. This one is kind of elegant, okay, it matches the jewelry, right? It kind of matches the mood, it's soft, the tablecloth is soft, it has some nice things for the jewelry to rest on. It's nice, kind of easy to digest, and you want to kind of go in there. Again, simple, very clean. This one this one has like a wooden, temporary wooden floor put in. Very, very easy on the eyes. This is for display is a little clunky. Again, with the jewelry, it doesn't quite fit the aesthetic. So just kind of, it's a little much on the plumbing, I think. This is simple, okay? This is an easy thing that you can do. This is just like a piece of pegboard. It has little knobs that you can get at Lowe's. They're staggered so that they're not all the same height, and then the jewelry just hangs on there. Super simple if you have to do something that's just quick and easy and just easy to do. Multiples and sets. Again, this is the idea that people want to buy more than one, okay? So that you have this kind of one idea, this one color palette, and you make different sizes and shapes, and then you put them all together, and people want to really buy a lot of those. I think this is funny. This is, they have their sign. This is mosaic, okay? So they do mosaic. It's pretty appropriate. Two broken broads. I'm not sure, she's not too friendly back there, but that's the other thing. I mean, let people be approachable to people. You don't want to run them out. I don't know what this is. This is like a church pew or something, a church setup. And there's the work is kind of good, but like, what is the setup? I don't get it. And if you're going to use flowers, use real flowers. Don't use fake flowers. And don't use yellow cloth either. That's kind of crazy. Okay, again, simple, very simple, clean. There's a few things out, okay, and then you can really get a chance to breathe and see some things around here. Here's a really fantastic booth. This was at the Columbus Arts Festival, and this is when there wasn't about 3 inches of water running through there, so that was good. The drain for the street was behind my booth, so when it poured down rain, all the water rushed through there. But trying to keep it simple, keeping the idea of just a very kind of clean lines. This was the one setup on Friday, and then on Saturday, if you notice, I changed it. Okay, I switched everything from the walls just to see if that made a difference and people were attracted to more than one thing or another. And it was an interesting test. You'll find that on your table or wall, there's a sweet spot. There's a place that people automatically go to, and so when something sells from that spot, put something in its spot, okay, and keep rotating things throughout the sale, and that'll keep it looking fresh. Like if people come back through, they'll say, oh, I didn't see that before. If you kind of move things around, not like crazy move it around, but just every now and again.
When you did one way versus the other, what did you discover?
Nothing, because it was hot and it poured down rain the whole weekend. Yes. It's kind of a moot point, but no, but I continually move things around. It doesn't matter where it's at. So again, what's it worth? Pricing your work. Here's probably the biggest question: how do I price my work? Well, again, having the multiple price points. The bestseller last year at the sale was about the $35 to $45 range, and it was jewelry. Now, I know Susan Schubert did really well with paintings last year. There were folks that did $800 worth of work in those 2 days and upwards. And then there were others that it was a little bit lower. So it just depends on there's a lot of things that depends on. But jewelry, $35 to $45 range. So your pricing, starting out, if you're just starting out versus somebody who's been doing it for a very long time. So my formula on my paintings, the way I do it, and I keep it consistent for galleries, for sales, for everything that I do, commissions. Commissions I can add a little bit more because it's a specialized thing. But it's length times width, and these are paintings, canvases. Length times width times $2. And that gives you the price. Easy, consistent, and now that's a pricing after, again, 3 decades. So think about how that correlates with what you're doing. But you need to cover your materials and your costs, your time and booth fees. The booth fee out here is $700, $800 for the weekend. Okay, so you got to cover those costs. You got to buy insurance. You got to set the booth up. It's very expensive. So you got to cover those expenses. And then leave something unpriced. Let people, there's one piece that just doesn't have a price on it. And that will start a conversation. People will say, well, how about this? Well, and then you can kind of engage them and talk to them about it, and then eventually get to the price. But just leave one thing that doesn't have a price on it. Use printed tags. I use Avery 5160 mailing labels on the computer. You can print those out with the prices on it. Do not use garage sale dots. It looks like a garage sale. All right, so don't use those little orange dots or green or yellow. Print out the tags, make it look professional. And then you have to educate people on the unique item versus the production item, especially if you're doing ceramics. If you have a giant bowl that you only made one of those, that's a unique item. If you have a dozen mugs, those are production type items, okay? So it's 2 different things. And people will ask you, well, why does this cost more than this? So you have to have that. Do not offer seconds or discount your work. I cannot say this enough. Do not panic because people are not buying your work and start lowering your prices. Do not do that. It really kind of undermines everybody else at the sale. So do not put signs up. Do not cross out prices and put a new price. If you are going to change something, put a new tag up there. Do not cross out because it just looks like a discount thing. And as artists, we don't want to discount ourselves. We're not going to discount our work. This is not, Target or any of these other stores. We don't do that. The other thing is to build relationships, and that equals repeat clientele. All right, we're almost done. All right, so you make the sale. How do you do it? With jewelry. Do you have a mirror? Because people want to see themselves in your necklace and your earrings. They want to see that. They want to try it on. Put stuff in their hands. Put the actual items in their hands. Put the necklace on them. I did Winter Fair in Covington right after I did the Columbus Arts Festival. And there was a guy who was absolutely perfect at this. Across from us, he had sterling silver jewelry and gold jewelry. And he would, I'm telling you, like the women would come up and he would have that ring on their hand and he was doing this and his cash register was just going nonstop. He was a master at just putting this stuff on people and just, I don't know what his magic was, but that's what he did. Be available and not in people's faces, just, the other thing is about a chair. Okay, do you sit down or do you stand up? Now, here's my theory on this. If you're going to do a chair, then this is why you see those director's chairs at a lot of arts festivals, because you're at the level or a little bit higher than the person standing. Okay, if you're sitting in one of these chairs like this, you are lower than I am, right? So psychologically, you're kind of at a disadvantage as a seller. Okay, so if you're going to sit, then get one of those director's chairs and be up a little bit higher. At least at eye level with the people that you're dealing with. Okay, it's real important. Tell stories. Talk up your work. Display awards. If you have any awards from the Ohio State Fair, if you have anything like that, put that in your booth as well. Offer free local delivery. So some of my paintings, my works are 3 or 4 feet, 5 feet long. And I'll say to somebody, I'll be glad to deliver this to you for free after the show if they're local here nearby. So that's just kind of a little perk that kind of sometimes will tip it the direction for them. And then pay attention, turn off your phone, and then just wear simple clothes. Wear a simple single color, not like crazy Hawaiian shirt, and then always make sure to take a shower. Okay, checklist, inventory sheet. Make sure you have a cash box, okay? You have to decide, are you going to take a check? But that's the thing. I've only been burned one time out of all the times I did this with a check. But the majority of things can be done on Square. If you have questions about Square, it's very, very simple. You can set it up to take credit cards that go right into your bank account. Simple, simple, simple. And it increases sales because nobody carries cash anymore. Nobody carries cash. They all have credit cards, and it's easier for them to take out a credit card and spend $500 or $1,000 on something if it's on a credit card. It's very simple. Do an email sign-up list. So you can put a piece of paper on your table, have people give their emails, opt in, and say, I'm going to create an email list. I'll let you know where the next show I'm going to be at, and then that's how you get people to start following you as well. Packaging materials for the sale downstairs. We provide bags and we provide newsprint to wrap things up. So those are all included in the things that you can do that. Water, snacks, comfortable shoes, smiles. Questions?
Yeah, bravo for
Talk about 6 more hours about
Todd,
this. Yes.
may I ask how I managed to sell on the $600
Yes.
my first time out?
Yes.
First of all, I never sat down.
Aha.
I did not sit down behind a table, ever. I didn't have a table there. I had little stands and cards on them. This year, I'm going to have apple cider and something to eat. You want people to stop because they're moving through and looking at everything very quickly. I also welcomed people into my booth. I said, thank you, welcome to my art studio. So I was extremely cordial. Within 10 minutes, I sold 3 pieces. I don't know how it happened. I was just ecstatic. I didn't have a square, I had nothing. One of the other artists took the money for me, which was very, very nice. Now, I have a 2-minute announcement for you. Who belongs to the Ohio Art League? Okay, good. That's another place, Todd, to add to your list. It costs $50 one-time joining fee, and they have all kinds of opportunity for you to display your art. This next year, I'm looking at curating a show at the airport. I will challenge any of you to join me. I'll tell you what my idea is. Art, let's see, I have here, art inspired by Columbus art. You're looking for things that come from Columbus. For example, I went to the Schumacher Gallery. I'm working on 10 pieces inspired by their African collection. I also did some of the statuary at the Columbus Museum of Art. So if anybody is interested in taking my challenge, I have a couple of business cards here that were printed by the place where Todd recommends, Vistaprint, and I even have my unique factor on here. Is anybody interested in taking my challenge? Okay, good, good. You'll have to have it ready in 1 year. Everything has to be put together. You better to communicate with me earlier. Join the Ohio Art Council.
Thank you,
I have
Susan.
1 card left. And for those of you who didn't get a card, just come over and I'll give you a
Inga has a quick announcement too.
Give me your card if you don't mind. You didn't get mine.
Since we're speaking about promotion, I'd like to promote the Clintonville Arts Guild Holiday Sale next weekend, 3 days, 60 artists. And I have the times and things everybody can hear if you want the details.
All the great stuff going on, huh? Another
Well,
announcement.
let me give you just one remark,
Okay, one more announcement, 2 more announcements.
Yeah, today, we were given a lot of information. But if you want to come back to any part, I captured with my video camera most of them, 99%. So I'll be posting it in archive of conversation.
All right, shows has what happened today in the archives.
Thank you.
Okay.
If anybody wants the slideshow presentation, put your email on here and I'll send it to you.
Anybody else want to give you their art? Anybody else interested in the art challenge?
Oh, yeah.